I would go into groups where my hobbies were. And so my personal hobbies are salsa dancing, A Course in Miracles, and like fashion stuff with our nonprofits. So pets, I do stuff with pets. And I in those groups, I would not really post much inside the group, but I would friend the people and I would send them messages like, oh, I see that we're in the same pet fashion group. I love your dog. How long have you had that dog? It's beautiful. What's her name? Right? And then I'd have a conversation, and then eventually I would invite them. But the key to that is that on the public side, I would be doing Facebook Lives on leadership. I'd be putting out positive content, non-company related, more just about leadership and positivity, because I know that those people are going to go stalk me, right? So I'd be putting pictures of my dog. I'd be putting pictures of my family. So when they go and stalk me, they say, oh, he's a good guy. He has a dog. He has a family. He has a grandma. He has a wife. Or if I wasn't married, doesn't matter. Just whatever you have, you just put it out there. You have to do the Facebook Lives and the public posts, not just the private messaging. You have to have both things going because they cross reference.
Welcome to MLM Nation, a podcast of leaders, by leaders, for leaders, hosted by Simon Chan. He's built a team of over 200,000 and is now a full-time MLM coach and trainer. So if you're ready to level up your business, join us now. Let's do this.
MLM Nation, this is Simon Chan. I'm fired up to bring our special guest today, good friend of mine, someone I have the privilege and honor to coach. He's a purpose-driven networker as well. We have Jared Crebs. Hey, Jared, are you ready to make it happen?
I am ready to make it happen. Let's go.
Jared Crebs is a 14-year veteran leader who is a purpose-driven networker, a top recruiter, and a top custom enroller at the same time in a billion-dollar company. He and his wife, Crystal, are part of their company's $1 million club and has earned over $1 million in lifetime commissions. They live out in San Antonio, Texas, and thanks to the MLM success, Jared and Crystal have been able to create and fund a 501c3 nonprofit called Fashionable Adoptions that helps pets get adopted through fashion shows. And that is really, really cool. Something I believe in is network marketing allows us to give back more. And being a huge dog lover, a lot of you know my first son, Obi, it's just really, really cool what they're doing. So anyway, Jared, welcome to the show. I've given MLM Nation a really brief background. But take us back 14 years ago. What were you doing and how did you encounter network marketing?
Well, 14 years ago, I had just graduated from college and I was looking for a way to supplement my income because I knew I was going to be a struggling guitar teacher if I didn't do something. And so I actually had started looking into entrepreneurial activities. I was looking for something I could do online. I knew internet was where it's at. E-commerce really was kind of brand new back then. Really PayPal and Hotmail and all that stuff was just coming out. And I thought, well, if I can somehow take advantage of the internet and technology, I want to do that so I can continue to pursue music. And I tried a lot of things before I found network marketing, believe it or not. So I did try some e-commerce things. I tried things while I was still in college and nothing really took off. And when I found network marketing, I knew I had found my home. And the reason why is because I liked that I could meet people face to face. I could actually go to seminars and trainings and connect with leaders that had been where I wanted to go. And that was probably what made the biggest difference was the mentorship. I still have great mentors like yourself. Thank you so much for all of your coaching, especially in this last 3 or 4 years of my career. But in the beginning, it was more of like the people who had introduced me to my company who were my mentors. And that really made all the difference in the beginning.
How did your first couple of weeks go after you got started?
So my first couple of weeks were pretty rough, but I did something called 10 a day for 10 days. And this was something that I had actually heard of on an audio by Jet, who's a famous network marketer from like the 90s. And he would have his people buy 100 DVDs because there was no YouTube. So you couldn't just send a link for people to watch a video. We had to literally mail a DVD, a physical DVD. And it wasn't just a 3-minute video like you do today. It was a 1-hour DVD. And so I would call people, I'd say, hey, Simon, I just started with my business. Could I practice my DVD? Could I send you my presentation, have you watch it, and I'll call you back and ask you some questions about it? And I would call 10 of those people a day. They'd say yes. I'd be like, okay, what's your address? I would literally write their address down. I would drive to the post office. I'd stamp them up and mail them. And I did 10 a day for 10 days. I passed out 100 pieces of information. I do the same thing now with my new recruits, but it's so much faster. I have them send text messages instead of phone calls. They're still doing 10 invites a day. And then now they send a YouTube link instead of sending a physical DVD. And we have duplication that's just like going like crazy. But that back then it was a longer process, and I still got some results. I had some people sign up, but largely nobody signed up. Like out of the 100 people, all my friends were broke college students. Maybe 1 or 2 people became clients. I got no associates from it. Okay. But what it did do was 2 things. Number 1, I put the energy out into the atmosphere. And if you put the energy out into the atmosphere with faith, then it's going to come back. And it did come back. And I'll tell you how it came back in a second. But the other thing that happened was I impressed my mentors. And they said, oh my gosh, this person is crazy. Like he actually contacted 100 people. I was like blowing up their phone. Like, I have another 3-way call. I have another 3-way call. And so my mentors were like freaking out, like, oh my gosh, this is a serious person. We need to support him. And so long story short, they actually came to my city because there was going to be a convention. I lived in Denton, Dallas, Fort Worth area. We were having a convention, and it was like my second month in the company. They spent a weekend with me. And during that weekend, they meet this couple called Steve and Ginger McDaniel. And they met them like at an Applebee's, just meeting someone in public, prospecting them. Well, this couple became like one of the fastest growing associates of 2006. And they placed Steve and Ginger in my business. They didn't have to do that, but they did it because they came down and they were there to kind of train me and support me. And we did live in the same city, me and Steve and Ginger. And so that literally had one of my legs of my business just literally take off. And keep in mind that I was 26. I had really no business experience. I had very little influence. What I had that really helped me was I had a vision. I knew I could be one of those people that earned $10,000 a month if I committed myself, if I applied myself, if I was consistent, if I did everything I was asked to do. And so that's really what got me through. It was that vision. And vision today, I even did a Facebook Live on it actually last night. Vision is really the only thing that can keep someone self-motivated. I cannot motivate my team, but I can give them a vision, and that will keep themselves self-motivated. So, a lot of things I learned along the way, but really I'm glad I did that 10 a day for 10 days, because ultimately it got my mentors to pay more attention to me. And then it also ultimately brought this great power couple into my business.
So Jared, how do you get someone gets vision? Who taught you that? Did you read it from a book or?
Yeah, actually, a book called Mach 2 with Your Hair on Fire by Richard Brooke. And Richard Brooke is a big legend in the MLM industry. And he talks about how really motivation is not lasting, but vision can create self-motivation. And so I'm like, well, what is vision? How can I take advantage of that? And I learned that vision really comes from a couple things. It comes from stories, like sharing stories, success stories, and people sharing like what they went through to be successful, which is what you're doing here, Simon. So really kudos to you with MLM Nation, because I've been super inspired by the vision you've cast for me, introducing me to all of these top leaders through your podcast and through your videos. And so vision has really been part of my growth, but through stories, through experiential events, going to like conventions and things like that helps cast the vision. And then the other thing that really helps when you're alone is visualization and affirmations, and like all of that stuff is kind of like what convinces the mind. If I can convince myself through repetition that I can succeed, then I can succeed. And it's crazy how it works, but it's really helped not only with my business, but really lots of areas of my life and peace of mind. And there's just really a ton of benefit to having vision.
So what was your turning point? I know you had this leader placed under you, but what was the turning point where you started able to recruit and get results? Because your first 100 didn't have, all your friends were broke, didn't have much money. When did you start being able to recruit and produce?
So it actually took about a year. So in my company, it's a binary. So you have to build two legs, right? You have to have multiple, I guess, leaders going. And really all companies are the same in the sense that you have to be able to bring in new people to have your business and your income grow. Well, I had one leg. I had some people growing and great stuff. But on this other side, it was like dud. I would sign up another person who drop out and another dud and another dud. And then it was like I wasn't attracting winners, right? Like I needed to actually grow my vision, you could say. And so the first year I signed up lots of little business, didn't make really too much money. But I came across the movie called The Secret, and it had just come out. And I always wondered, like, how does my mentor attract all these great people? And like, what about him is making him like really make a lot of money? And I learned about like law of attraction. And so I created this little affirmation, and it went quickly, easily, and surprisingly early. I am a solid gold director in my company. And I would say it with emotion, and I would say it every morning and every night. And I started to energize my mind and my energy, just like I would like get all hyped up, almost like an athlete would get before a game or something, And then I'd go and live my life. I'd make calls, I'd do action. Well, I started to attract winners. I started to attract better people. Now, not everybody was a great associate, but I remember the best person I signed up at the end of my first year, his name was Randy Nunn. And he actually was my guitar student. And he found me from a flyer I put up on how to play guitar. He called the flyer. He's like, I want to take guitar lessons from you. The guy comes in, he pulls up in a Porsche to my little dirt driveway in the ghetto where I live. And I'm still teaching guitar at this time, but I had a product display of my company's products right there. So I was teaching guitar, and then people would like look at this big old display of products. They'd like walk by it while we sat down and play guitar. So he looks at this. He's like, I want to try this lose 5 pounds in 5 days thing. He's like, here's $100. He just pulls out 100 cash, like no problem. And so then he tries it. He likes the product. And then like one day we're outside stretching, because I would have them stretch. Like, okay, we've been playing guitar. We need to take a break. Let's go outside and stretch. So we're outside stretching. He's like, I think I want to sign up in your company. And I'm like, yes, but I acted cool. I was like, okay, cool. And anyway, he signs up, and this guy owns like 2 airplanes. He has all kinds of influence. He owns a gas station. He has other businesses. And like, he has no problem like bringing in people, signing up thousands of points. And like my other leg starts to take off. And at this point, like I had my business kind of growing, and I said, oh my God, this is my chance to become gold. And to become gold, you have to have like really good 4 weeks in a row. So when I had that really great first week, when I made I think I had made over $1,000, almost $2,000 in just 1 week, it was like, okay, let's go for it, guys. I'm doing a gold run. And then I told the whole team and all the new people he had brought in, and I had other prospects, and I just had like a lot of stuff that I had planted. So you have to plant seeds. And I had been saying this affirmation, and then the second week, we got it done early in the week. And the third week, we got it done early in the week. And the fourth week, we got it done early in the week. And I was like, oh my God, it worked. My affirmations launched my business. And I was a gold director. And that was like, kind of gives me goosebumps thinking about it, because that was like stepping into my power. It's like I said, wow, I can keep doing this. I can continue to manifest from my word. And so it was very powerful for me. And I would say that was the turning point. And I've been full-time ever since. I have not worked for anybody since really mid 2007. So we're talking about 12 years full time since then.
That's awesome. And, affirmations, some people don't really believe it, but I'm telling you, like, the key is to be emotionally charged into it. The thing that it does, it changes your physical state. And then you just become more positive, right? Maybe the words itself don't be, but especially applies now. If you're saying, I'm going to make $1 million check is going to come in the mail tomorrow. I mean, that's not going to happen. But if you say you're achieving certain success, or you're attracting people easily, just the fact that you're saying that a lot, you become more positive. Or when you happen to have that one or two instances, you meet like a person like drives a Porsche, right? And has a chance to just throw off $100 and buy something. You're ready for that moment. As opposed to if you're being down and negative and just like, I'm not having success, Jared, you probably just been focused, let's get this lesson and we're over with. You just become blind to the opportunities. It's like the affirmations opens up your eyes to opportunities you never normally would not see.
That's exactly it. What you just said is exactly how it works. And so it's really a mental discipline. It's just as important to me as brushing my teeth, or taking a shower. Like I have to continually do my mindset work, and I have to continually do my prospecting. So it's like those two things. The only two things I can control are my attitude and my activity. And if I control those two things, if you control those two things, your success is guaranteed.
Yeah, and it starts with attitude, right? You have to see it, and then that leads to action. Your attitude determines your actions. Because you can say, I'm going to do it, but if you have the wrong attitude, you don't believe you can do it, you don't think you're going to be successful, you never want to take the action. And I wanted to add that because a lot of people think, it's just affirmations are hokey pocus, whatever. But, and it just puts you in a different state that attracts people. And maybe it doesn't attract, but we bump into all type of successful people at a time. And if you're listening to this, you're just like, I never was, because you're probably thinking about negative stuff, right? You probably think of the people who said no to you or problems at home, whatever. And when your mind is closed, it's kind of like wearing dark sunglasses. You can't see what's in front of you. Mm-hmm. So it's affirmation just puts you positive. And when you're positive, you attract better people because successful people want to be around with those type of people. And often, Jared, you can maybe add to this. It's at least the gift rarely comes when you're expecting it. It's when you're least expecting it. It's like that, he came with a Porsche, drive up in a Porsche. You didn't expect that, right? You probably expected, some other guy's going to sign up, and then that didn't work out. And then the least prospect you think is going to join is going to be a student, but has tons of money, tons of influence, owns airplanes, and drives up to your to take a lesson.
Yeah. It's funny because that same student had actually said no to the opportunity maybe like 3 months prior when I had given him a DVD to review. But by coming to my guitar lesson studio and seeing my samples, it doesn't matter how it happens. It might happen like you expect it to happen from the DVDs or the YouTube videos, but sometimes it doesn't happen that way. Sometimes you may plant the seed that way, but then it happens the other way, some other way it can happen. So, but I think the commitment is what definitely created it in the first place.
Yeah, you're a top recruiter. I'll say most of the time, majority of the time, it does not happen the way you think it will happen.
Yeah, that's true.
Majority. It's when you're least expecting it. It's like, it comes.
Yeah.
But for every person, But for every person like that came, those 98 other person they sent DVDs that did nothing with it, right? Jared did the work and planted those seeds.
Yes. Hey, can I share a cool affirmation I used today?
What is it? Because I know you're rocking it right now.
So this affirmation is really what's helped me this year. This is my 14th year in business, but I've personally sponsored more associates and clients this year than all my years prior. And it's because of two things, this affirmation and also working with MLM Nation and being a purpose-driven networker and the coaching you've given me, Simon, on really not trying to train everybody, but really going into productivity mode. Okay. But the affirmation is this. I love the feeling of personally sponsoring top-level associates in my business weekly who are just like me or better. And my team is doing the same.
Whew, I love it. Look at listen to the passion in your voice.
Yes, it's important to say I love the feeling because otherwise the critical mind's like, your critical mind can't argue with the fact that you love the feeling. But if you said, I personally sponsor top-level associates, your critical mind say, no, you don't. you don't sponsor anybody. You haven't sponsored anybody in a long time. But if you say, I love the feeling, then it's like, oh yeah, I do love the feeling. And you rehearse the feeling, the vibration, the feeling. I just personally sponsored my 32nd associate today. I'm about to sign up my 33rd when we get off this call. And it's like they're coming from like weight loss. They're coming from like different product. Like we help one client get a product result, and then it comes. So it's awesome. It's like, I'm going to just keep doing these affirmations in the morning.
Hey, we've been doing coaching one-on-one, but let's talk about your journey. You talk about 32 people. When we start working, you were focused on systems, team, system, and then you had a major paradigm shift last year. Why don't you share about what happened and how, because you sponsored more this year than you ever have, right? And your team has grown. The team has grown more this year than ever have. Talk about what was different.
So there was a time in my business where like I got bad advice, and it wasn't from you. It was from other people that were successful in my company. And then they started to really talk about how important like training and like spending all this time and not over sponsoring. And it was like all this, to me, looking back on it, was kind of weirdness. Okay. But I really looked up to these people, and they were top income earners and et cetera. And so they started talking about all this stuff, and I'm very impressionable. And so I thought, well, if I sign someone up and then I spend the time, teaching them how to log in and teaching them their auto order and teaching them about all these things and the products and ultimately, eventually they'll learn. And what would happen is I would waste like 3, 4, 5 hours on each recruit. And then they would end up dropping out anyways, because most people drop out. Okay, there's nothing I can do about it, and nothing you can do about it.
And that's that's not a problem that we're marketing. That's like in anything. Most people who buy golf clubs, expensive golf clubs, don't become golf pros. They really touch them. Most people buy an expensive $3,000 road bike, maybe take it out once, maybe the first month, take a couple of times, and it's sitting in the garage, right? People join a gym. Gyms actually go out of business if everyone who's signed up actually goes to the gym. So we're just talking about human nature here. It's not just bad about network marketing. So I just want to add that.
Thank you for adding that, because I think that's probably the big hindrance in our industry is discouragement. People sign up a few associates, all 5 of them, let's say, don't do anything with it, and they say it doesn't work because the 5 people I signed up over the first 2 months didn't do anything. So really having this long term of like, hey, I'm going to have to enroll probably 10 associates to find one really good one. And if I want to have 10 great associates in my business, I have to personally sponsor 100, and if I can personally sponsor, let's say 1 or 2 a week, then in a year, then you can start to talk about getting into the multiple 6-figure type of incomes, So when you're new though, it's like you don't know any of this and you just get discouraged so quickly. So I was kind of like, I had that good year, and then I kind of got stuck into training mode for many years. And I was basically like at a plateau in my business for many years because I didn't hire a coach. It was just me trying to figure it all out and be like Superman. And when I started working with you, Simon, specifically, we basically started to look at what I was doing and like basically pinpoint things where I could improve. And the main thing that you told me, and it kind of hurt my feelings, was that I'm scared of having people drop out, and that I was scared of maybe not training somebody because then they would drop out. And so there was like all this kind of fear around it. But then when you told me this story about your mentor, or one of your mentors, Steve Schwartz, who he focuses on sponsoring so much, and he almost expects the people to kind of drop off. And then when he finds one that's really good, he focuses and helps that one grow. And ever since then, it just clicked in my mind, like that's what I have to do. So I have spent just time really focusing on prospecting. And then when I sign someone up now, I give them 1 hour of my time. I feel like you bought that time. You bought that hour. If you signed up with me, you bought an hour of my time. But during that hour, I'm not going to train you on anything. I'm going to give you a text message, and you will send this text message. It's an invite. It's like, and this is, I got the invite from you, Simon. It's, hey, Jill, I have something I'm working on. I'm excited about. It may or may not be for you. Would you be open to take a look? copy paste, send it to the next person, copy paste, send it to the next person. So I'm testing that new associate. I'm actually seeing if they can take the heat. Can they invite 10 people without like freaking out? Okay. Or are they an overachiever? Maybe they actually like it and they invite 20. I had someone invite 20 people in the first hour. And what happens is based on how they perform, right? Now, if they start to set up three-way calls from those text messages and I give them a little script and they continue to book me for calls, I know I have a winner. But I usually only have maybe 1 to 2 out of 10 that will consistently book me. The rest of them, they just become clients. And that's okay. You need customers. You need people who love the product. I still say hello to them. I still follow up with them. But I'm not trying to like groom them. The only way you're going to get me to groom you is if you book me on three-way calls. That way you earned your time with me because we're talking to prospects. And that's how you're going to learn because I am talking to your prospects on three-way calls. So I've literally cleaned up my approach in the sense of how I work my business. And it's so funny because my team has watched that and they've followed suit. And now they're starting to sponsor more. And they know that the only way they can get me on a phone call is if they sponsor or get me booked on a three-way call. And then, of course, I do return texts, but yeah, that's how you earn time.
I love it. When they join, they basically bought an hour of your time because you are the leader. You have that's awesome. Now, what happens if someone says, oh, I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to send this invite, Jared. It's my friends. I got to change up the wording a little bit. My friends don't like, that's not the way I talk. And what happens if you start becoming uncoachable?
Yeah, uncoachable. So what I'll do with them is I'll be gentle but stern or firm, right? Like there are sometimes associates that want to do it their way, and they want that's like as a guitar teacher. If I have a student that comes in and says, I don't want to do the fundamentals. I'll have to hold my pick like this, then like this, and it's like that's how it makes me laugh.
That's a great analogy. Great analogy.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you know what? I think I'd rather do it my way.
Well, my finger's a little longer. I got to hold it this way, Jared.
Yeah. So in that sense, I'll basically say something like, I totally hear what you're saying, and I want to be a good mentor to you. I would be a bad mentor if I just let you totally change the script. We've done this so many times. It's worked with so many people that I want to make sure that you have that same result as well. So for just this first hour, I want you to send them out and trust me exactly how this works and send it out exactly as it's written. And let's see what happens. Again, usually I have people get results within their first hour to where they're booking three-way calls and sometimes enrolling people by the same day or even the next day. So that's the best thing you can do is send that. Are you still willing to do that or not? Because I love you either way. Right. Awesome. And then a lot of times they'll do it and we'll move on. But even if someone performs well, okay, let's say that you're the best instruction follower on the call. And that's great. Maybe you said 3 or 4 calls. Are you going to do it when I'm not baby feeding you the texts? That's really what I'm thinking, right? Like, so I tell them, I say, great, we had a great first hour training. Here's your homework, 10 a day for 10 days. I want you to invite 10 people tomorrow. And invite 10 people the next day, invite the 10 people the next day, and start booking my calendar. And basically, when you do that, if you invite 10 a day for the next 10 days, you will have invited 100 people. Out of those 100 people, you're going to enroll 4 clients and 2 associates. You'll probably enroll 4 clients and 2 associates if you do what I'm recommending. And you'll probably have about 30 people say yes. And then about 20 phone calls will happen, okay? And that's roughly about 2 a day, right, over those 10 days. So this is manageable. This is doable. Are you up to the challenge? Now, everyone says they're up to the challenge, but now I'm watching to see, who's going to perform, who's going to book me. And if they don't book me, guess what? I'm going to be booking myself, okay? I'm already on Facebook talking to tons of prospects. So I am really not concerned if the new associate books me or not. I'm looking for the one that's going to follow directions, that's going to be self-motivated, that's going to be inspired. I can't find that person if I'm too busy training the one that needs to be spoon-fed and needs to be handheld every hour. They get 1 hour, then they have to do 10 a day for 10 days. Let's see how they perform. If they perform well, then I'm going to spend more time with them. I'm going to talk on every one of their 3-way calls. If they don't perform, again, I still love everybody. I say, you know what? That's great. You're getting great results with the products, and that's good. The products are great. And you know what? Come on to our training webinar. It's important that I'm still loving to the people that aren't like workers, because majority of the people aren't going to be workers. So you got to know that right up front.
Hey, so let's talk about tracking numbers, the importance of that.
Okay, so actually, it's funny that you bring that up, because I have been tracking my numbers like diligently for the first time in 2019. We did coaching, you and I, and we talked a lot about tracking. I started to learn how to do it in 2018, the last quarter. And I don't have my numbers updated as of the last month, but up through the first 9 months, I do have my numbers. And you want to hear them? You want to hear how many people I've approached?
Sure, let's do that. I mean, hey, it's the real deal, no BS. Let's do it.
All right. So
since the beginning of this year, right? Beginning of this year.
From the beginning of this year through, hold on, let me get the numbers here. I keep it on a Microsoft or what's it called? Google Sheets.
And by the way, ML Nation, this is live right now. I never told Jared to get his numbers ready, but he just has it everywhere. He has his business front and center at all times. He's pulling out his phone, pulling this out. Okay,
so here we go. So in 35 weeks, okay, so that's almost 9 months. I still need to put in the last, because I think we're on the 39th week of the year. So this is just the 35 weeks. I have friend requested on average 38 people a week. So that's about usually 10 a day for 4 days in a week is a good way to put it. But I've done it consistently. And so over those 35 weeks, I have friend requested 1,300 new people over that time. Now, when I friend request somebody, I also send them a private message. And I'm like, hey, I see we have these mutual friends that are salsa dancers, which is my hobby. Okay, cool. Nice. It's nice to meet you. Do you ever go to Seminea, which is my place I go? So that's one example. Sometimes they're fashion people because we're in Fashionable Adoptions. I say, I see we have mutual friends in fashion. What do you do in fashion exactly? So I send a friend request and I send a nice message at the same time. Do not send just a random friend request. Okay, so out of those 1,300, 796 accepted my friend request and they wrote me back and we actually started the chat. And out of those 796 people, I chatted with all of them, okay, little by little. I like to chat with people for a day to 2 days max, okay? I do not chat with someone for like 2 weeks. I chat with them for like a day and I say, I see that I like and I go and I love their profile photo and I love their cover photo and I love some of their posts. So they see Jared Crebs loves this, Jared Crebs loves that. That's how you be a good friend. You got to be a good friend on social media. And a good friend doesn't sell to you every day. A good friend is someone who likes and loves your stuff, that comments about your stuff. That's a good friend. So I was a good friend, and I invited, after chatting with them for a day or two, then I sent the invite. Hi, Simon, I'm working on something exciting. It may or may not be for you. Would you be open to taking a look? I invited all 796 throughout the 35 weeks. 461 said, yes, I'll take a look. So about half said, yeah, I'll take a look. The other half ignored it or was skeptical or whatever, but usually they ignored it. Okay, but I know. My feelings.
But you have no time to worry about them because you got 461 other people. It's the power of numbers.
I literally don't have time because I have so many people that said yes. Now, out of those 461, my goal is to actually schedule them on a phone call before I send a video. So the next part of my script is I would actually need to explain on a quick phone call. Could you chat tomorrow at 5 o'clock or tomorrow at 7 o'clock? Like I give them 2 times I'm available. It would be nice to connect and say hello. So I'm trying to take them from stranger to friend to phone call. All right. So out of that 461, 246 said, yeah, I'll talk to you. I'll schedule a call. So that's, again, about half. So now I have 246 calls that were scheduled. Out of those calls that actually got on my calendar, 205 of the calls happened. So that is like 80%. That's really good. So I know I have a good strength there. But usually if you can schedule the call, the call will happen. So that's, for me, the key is the
But you also call to confirm and message them to confirm. It's just not like scheduling. You have a whole,
right.
We don't need to go into the details of the process. I know because we talk and we do coaching. It's like you follow up with them, remind them, and text them.
For sure.
You cancel.
Yeah. So in fact, there's a message that I have a standard, like if I'm going to talk to you tomorrow at 5, then I have a message I send at 4 o'clock, and it says, "Hi, Simon, I'll be calling you here at 5 o'clock. Looking forward to saying hello."
Yeah.
And I send that an hour beforehand. All right. So out of those 205 calls that happened this year, 69 heard me out. They got on the phone. We chatted. I shared my story. And I also send a video 10 minutes before the call. I tell them, "Hey, I'm going to send you a little 3-minute video 10 minutes before the call that kind of gives you an idea." All right. So I'm not sending the video like an hour or a day beforehand. I'm sending it literally 10 minutes before the call. And it's just, you can just send your company video, whatever it is. Hopefully it's 2 to 3 minutes long. If it's longer than 2 to 3 minutes, don't use it. Okay. Make your own YouTube video that make sure you're compliant. Okay. Now 69 people were not interested. They heard me out. They just weren't, it wasn't for them. 83 of those people said, "I am interested in the products only." And out of those 83 people that were interested in the products only, I have personally sponsored 33 of them. Okay. So again, that's what? One for every, I think.
One for every week.
One out of every 6. 1 out of every 6 phone calls becomes a client. And then out of those 205 phone calls that I did, 53 of them said, "I'm interested in the business or the money side of it also." Usually they are interested in the product, but then also interested in the money side of it. So I did 53 calls there. And as of 9 months ago, or through the first 9 months, I've personally sponsored 23 out of those 53 phone calls. So again, that's
1 out of every 2.
Oh yeah, that's right. 1 out of every 2. Sorry, I had the numbers wrong on that part. So, but I'm just reflecting now because I'm about to sponsor associate number 32 right now. So I've actually sponsored 9 since I redid my numbers. So I'm going to have to go back and redo my numbers. But yeah, like, so in other words, like at the end of every week, I keep a little tracker and I tally it. And then I put it into this little spreadsheet. So that takes work. But the reason why I do it is because it helps my story. Because if I can have a good story to share to my new people and to my existing team, "Hey team, this is my story for this year." You got to create your story. You have to know your numbers so you can have a good story. And even if your numbers aren't great, then that's also a story. You could say, "My numbers sucked my first 6 months and then I got good at it," right? So that's also a story. But you're trying to build stories, build results. And honestly, I get a kick out of tracking my numbers. I think it's a blast.
And it's fun too, because you know that I'm looking at your numbers here. Out of 205 calls that happened, 33 customers and 20. It's like 1 out of 4. It's actually a little bit more out of 1 out of 4. It's like 1 out of 3.5. Calls will lead to a customer or rep. So even I'm sure that the days where you don't feel like doing anything, if you get on a phone call, if you go out there and meet new friends, 1 out of 4 phone calls will lead to a sign up or a customer. It's exciting.
Yep. Yeah, it is. And, I've just been reflecting on it this past year on trying to figure out like what's a good flow for me to do. And I figured it out now. It's to friend 10 people a night, 5 nights a week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So Sunday through Thursday, every night I friend 10 new people with the outline I described, and then I do my follow-ups. And then Friday, Saturday is kind of like, I'm still maybe doing phone calls, following up or returning messages, but I'm not generating new friends on those 2 days. So it's kind of like I take like those 2 days off, and then by Sunday night, I'm back at my DMO. So I think friending 50 a week is a really good part-time thing. If you have more time, do more, but Sunday through Thursday, 10, I can friend 10 people in 10 minutes. You get fast at it.
Hey, so along with how is purpose-driven networkers? I know we do coaching, but you also active in the community. How has purpose-driven networkers helped you out?
So why I love purpose-driven networkers is because of your videos you do on the daily, where you share tips. And one of the last videos you shared was about weight loss and like how to help people upgrade there. You share, like, you're always sharing some type of angle that makes me better from the purpose-driven networker videos. And it's nice to like see your consistency with it, because every time I open up my Facebook, it's like there's a new video from Simon, or at least how many days a week that you do it. It's very consistent. How many days a week is it that you do?
5 days a week.
5 days a week. Yeah. So it's super consistent. So it really helps me, and it also helps my team. And I love what you've done with like the Q&A. So like people can always ask you questions and then you answer it the next day. And it's just such a great like live system. Part of the hardness of this is learning how to do social media. It's still kind of a new thing, and you're on the cutting edge. And that's what I appreciate the most, is that you've basically put me in an environment that's on the cutting edge. And that's what the Purpose-Driven Networkers has done.
And I'm glad it's helped you out. You have put a lot of your team members in the group as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, it's like, what is it? Like $10 a month, or 150 for lifetime now, or
like, $10 a month.
Yeah. Yes. So it's like amazing, like what the value is, like everybody needs to do that. So yeah, I've told all the team, I have like majority of my best team members. And in fact, all of my team members are hearing about it every single week, because look, they got to invest in their education, and you got to start somewhere, and when you start, a lot of times people don't have a lot of money to invest, and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, that is like the best place people can start.
Related to purpose-driven networkers, talk about consistency. I know you're very consistent. How important is consistency to success?
Well, consistency is really everything. And I say that just because, your skill at the beginning, my skill at the beginning was down here, but my will was much higher. Your will has to be very strong, and then your skill will come up, right? So my will to prospect, my will to contact 10 new people tonight, my will to do my follow-ups, my will to be on the next training, my will to it's just my will. You have to have a lot of will, and your skill will kind of start to catch up. I've signed up people who are very good, like maybe successful in other businesses, or people who have lots of skill, like with people, and maybe their skill's up here, but their will is not really where it needs to be, right? Because they don't have a will enough to succeed in their business. So, and that's okay. Everyone's at a different place, but consistency is really a reflection of your will to succeed, your drive. And if you have an abundant will, then you're going to eventually get the skill. And so that's my big encouragement for those of you who are new to the industry, and that you might be struggling, or you might feel like you're not, no one wants to sign up right now. I've had times like that. I even still have times like that where I go through like a drought, and then it's like, oh, I got to just keep my will strong and keep my activity high, and then I'll break through again. But if you're in that place right now where you're feeling like discouraged, keep your will strong, keep your consistency high, and your skill will get there.
And that's why going to tracking the numbers is important, because I remember maybe a couple months ago you had a dry spell, and I was like, Jared, keep going, because you'll average out. And you said the last 4 weeks you brought in about 9 people or something like that, right? You're about to get to so or averages out. One for you now. Like if you're listening to this ML Nation, you may not be at Jared's numbers. Jared's 1 out of 4 phone calls leads to a customer or rep, but before you get Jared's skill, like you said, you have the will that keeps you going. Hey, so a couple more. I know we're a little longer, but by the way, ML Nation, if you love this episode, give us some feedback on our homepage, on our website, or our page on Facebook. But a couple other questions. This is my favorite question: is what is in your 14 years your worst moment in network marketing? To the point that most people will quit, but you did it, and that's why you're the leader you are today.
All right. So my worst moment. Okay. So I just want to just say, first of all, that as a sponsor, sometimes your associates that you sponsor, they're going to expect you to be perfect. Okay. And I definitely expected that of my sponsor. Like I thought I had my sponsor at a pedestal, and I still love him, and he was the best man at my wedding. Okay. But talk about the hard moment. I still remember it. We were on a phone call trying to strategize. I was stuck. Okay. I was stuck in my business. I was at a point where I really couldn't hear him anymore. Like it's like your mom or dad, like you don't want to hear them anymore. You need to be coached from someone else. That's why you've been so valuable to me, Simon, as a mentor, because I can hear from you. Right. But from him, it was like, there wasn't that mentorship anymore. And then he started to compare me to this other associate that's about at my level. And he's like, well, this guy has this and this guy has that. And I literally started crying. Like I was crying on the phone, and he knew that he had messed up. I think he heard me sobbing or something. And I was just like bawling, cause I was trying so hard. I was doing everything I possibly could to succeed. And I wasn't there at that moment or in that little time frame of my business. And, eventually we worked it out, but that was probably the hardest moment, or one of the hardest moments was kind of bawling and crying, and feeling frustrated and just not knowing where to turn and not feeling like I had good advice. And, so there you have it. That's happened a couple times.
Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Hey, you've been awesome, but we got to wrap up the show. Some quick questions to pick your brain. These could be quick one sentence answers. First one is, what is one of your favorite success quotes that motivates you?
One of my favorite success quotes that motivates me. I said it already with your will has to be stronger than your skill. And again, when you get your will is strong, your skill will go up. That's something I say a lot. That's probably the one that really kind of is what I'm focused on right now and what inspires me the most.
What is one habit that's helped you become successful?
So the habit is constantly prospecting. I will prospect and get my DMO, right, my daily method of operation. I will get that done before I will get something else done, like folding the towels or cleaning the kitchen or doing something like they call it majoring in the minors, right? I'm not going to go take out the trash and clean the house. Now, eventually I'll get to that stuff, but only after I have done my DMO. So I think that commitment of getting that in on a real consistent basis, 5 days a week, 50 weeks out of the year, maybe take a week off at Christmas or, et cetera, for a vacation. And of course, my business travels, so I can do my DMO wherever I go. But I'm very committed to it because it's really paid me well. It's done very good for me.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
Best piece of advice I've ever received was do not overtrain your team. Instead of overtraining your team, show them by example. Sponsor a lot. And I'm just watching my business flourish right now. I'm getting phone calls from people who are doing their own activity, following the scripts that I taught them when I taught them stuff. We have a training once a week. And that training is where, yes, I will train. I will share some tip, but that's only once a week to the whole team, not to one person, right? No one-on-one trainings, just the whole team. But our team is just flourishing, and it's all because of your advice, Simon, of leading by example, showing them that I can sponsor a lot, and they're starting to do it. That's honestly what's been the breakthrough.
What's your favorite prospecting tool? I think we talked about this, a short 2-3 minute video.
Yeah, it's just a short 2 to 3 minute video where I share my story, just kind of on a little YouTube video. It's very low budget. I made it on my phone. Anybody can do that. Just share your story. Make sure that you're compliant with your company's protocol, and that's a good place to start. There's a lot of companies that already have good 2 to 3 minute videos out there as well you can use. But I like my own because when I send that to a prospect, they see me and they've already been chatting with me. When I get a new person started, I still have them use my video, but I've had the cream of the crop rise to the top and they make their own video. Once an associate kind of gets, and I didn't ask them, I didn't train them. I didn't say, oh, this is how you make your video. Let me spend 15 hours with you trying to help you make a video. No, they made the video themselves, right? So when I see that they made their own video, I'm like, great, you got your own video. But yeah, so that would be the tool.
Do you have a favorite app on your phone or online resource like Dropbox or Evernote that you could recommend?
My favorite app, I'm looking at my apps right now. Honestly, it's keyboard shortcuts. So it's an existing setting in the iPhone. I know that Androids do it as well. You trained me on this as well, Simon. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically a way you can save text messages. And I'll literally type in like T1, like for text 1, and my first message auto-populates. So I don't have to go copy paste it. Or like when I'm friending my 10 people a night, I have INT3. That's for salsa people. It auto-populates the exact message I use. INT7. It's for fashion people. It auto-populates my fashion. So I'm able to friend people fast because of keyboard shortcuts. And I can't live without it.
What's 1 or 2 books you could recommend to ML Nation?
Mach 2 with Your Hair on Fire by Richard Brooke. Huge book for me. Power versus Force by David Hawkins. That book is not about network marketing, but it is about the concept of power versus force, but attracting, like not forcing, allowing things. I've also really gotten into a money boot camp by Denise Duffield-Thomas. That's my latest personal development. It's all on money mindset. And her book is called Chillpreneur. So that's why I have that on my Facebook as I'm a chillpreneur. But a lot of it is allowing the money and the abundance into my life. And it's really ways to improve the law of attraction.
And here's finally the last question, the $1 million question. You ready?
Ready.
So imagine you had to start all over again, Jared, and you knew no one. You didn't know your wife, you didn't know anyone, but you had all your current knowledge, skills, and wisdom. What's the first thing you do or the first place you go to build a network marketing business from scratch?
Facebook. I would go onto Facebook, and the first thing I'd do is I'd make sure that my profile did not have my company name and did not have a bunch of salesy, weird product stuff. I would just have, like my Facebook is right now, I would basically do that. I would create a nice lifestyle thing. I would create curiosity. And then I'd basically be doing what I still do to this day, which is friending 10 a day, 5 days a week, connecting with people on Facebook Messenger, getting them onto phone calls. I would not have done all the meetings and all. Not that the meeting, some people still do meetings. I'm not trying to say it's bad, but me personally, I'm not there anymore. You know, we still do our trainings once a quarter, where we go to the big events. Like we'll be at GoPro, Eric Worre here at the end of the year, having Simon come and do events with us as well with MLM Nation. But just to sum it up, I'd be right on social media. I'd be doing Facebook Lives. I'd be networking on social media, and I know I'd be bringing in lots of volume. Even if I didn't have a big team already, I know I could do it again, of course.
Where would you find people on Facebook? What's the first?
So actually, I like to find people on suggested friends. And I think that not everybody can do suggested friends if you don't have a lot of friends already. So if I didn't have a lot of friends already, then I would go into groups, and I would go into groups where my hobbies were. And so my personal hobbies are salsa dancing, A Course in Miracles, and like fashion stuff with our nonprofits. So pets, I do stuff with pets. And I in those groups, I would not really post much inside the group, but I would friend the people, and I would send them messages like, oh, I see that we're in the same pet fashion group. I love your dog. How long have you had that dog? It's beautiful. What's her name? Right? And then I'd have a conversation, and then eventually I would invite them. But the key to that is that on the public side, I would be doing Facebook Lives on leadership. I'd be putting out positive content, non-company related, more just about leadership and positivity, because I know that those people are going to go stalk me, right? So I'd be putting pictures of my dog. I'd be putting pictures of my family. So when they go and stalk me, they say, oh, he's a good guy. He has a dog. He has a family. He has a grandma. He has a wife. Or if I wasn't married, doesn't matter. Just whatever you have, you just put it out there. You have to do the Facebook Lives and the public posts, not just the private messaging. You have to have both things going because they cross reference.
As we wrap up, any last words of advice? And what's the best way our listeners can connect with you, Jared?
So my last, actually, I'll flip it around. The best way you can connect with me is following me on Facebook at Jared Crebs. You're going to have to put C first or follow me because I'm already maxed out on friends. But also Instagram is a great place to follow me, and that's just at Jared Crebs. And those are the two things I really am good at, Instagram and Facebook. Now, my last piece of advice, the thing that I want to just end this all that's just going to kind of bring it all together, is go to your company convention. Nothing is more important than going to your company convention. You may not have the skill right now. You may not be at a place you want to be, but you have to continue to get yourself in the environment with leaders. And when you're at that company convention, there's three types of people. There's the people who sit in front and who like soak it up. There's the people who are kind of like they're there, but they're not really actively involved. And then there's the people that are late and they're missing stuff. Okay, don't hang out with those two people. Be the first one that's there early, that's sitting in the front, that's asking questions. Go up to those people and say, what is one piece of advice you have? If you're that type of person and you go to your company convention, you're going to have the skill and the vision to take you to the next level. And then be there for a while and then go to the next level, go to the next company convention, go to the next level. So it's really the company convention is what's gotten me through the hard times and really helped me continue to take another step.
Hey, MLM Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And today you may hang out with Jared Crebs. So keep up the momentum and go to MLMNation.com. Just go to the podcast tab and the show notes for Jared and reach out to him and see what he's doing on social media. And all the nuggets of wisdom on the show will be right there. Hey, in order to be successful in network marketing and in life, you must help others. So Jared, thanks again for sharing your valuable time with MLM Nation. We're grateful to you and we appreciate you for having a positive impact on millions of distributors worldwide. Thank you so much again, Jared, and God bless you.
Thank you, Simon. Good night and God bless.